Hello YouTube. Thought I would just do this short video discussing, does religion cause wars? For instance, is Christianity a violent religion? Has it killed more people and caused more war than let's say your average secular government? What about atheists? What about atheist governments, which according to atheists are going to bring us a utopia? Well, as we know, utopian systems always produce tyranny, always produce genocide. But let's start by looking here at my online database. I'm going to share the link to this so you can look at the same notes that I have here on my online shared OneNote database. It's on the page called Stats, Religious Wars. The main resource we're going to utilize here is the Encyclopedia of Wars. So I do expect this to be a short video, nothing too long, but one that you can use as a reference tool and in your discussions, debates, and such online. Another resource that you will find very useful is the BBC War Audit. Here's a link, but of course you can just do a simple search for BBC War Audit. It's not hard to find. Now, in the Encyclopedia of Wars, which is a multi-volume encyclopedia written by Charles Phillips and Alan Axelrod, they discuss the history of recorded warfare. This is 10,000 years of recorded warfare from 8000 BC to 2000 AD. And of their list of 1,763 wars, now this is not battles, these are wars, only a maximum of 123, although the number could be debated between 121 to 123. Only that number out of those 1,763 wars have been classified to involve a religious cause or some kind of religious motive or some kind of religious involvement, right? Which ultimately accounts for less than 7% of all wars, and also less than 2% of all people killed in warfare. The short takeaway from this is that religion constrains our behaviors. We are given a moral standard to abide by. And this obviously constrains people because we value people in a certain way, we value certain peaceful behaviors in a certain way. The exception to this is, as always, of course, Islam. Now, for instance, it is estimated that 1 to 3 million people were tragically killed in the Crusades. Now, the Crusades lasted approximately 200 years, right? So if we want to be very, very strict to like the fall of Acre, including the start of the First Crusade, that's about 196 years. So let's use the big number here, okay? So, okay, let's take 365 days and let's multiply that by 196 years. This gives us 71,540 days. Let's take 3 million deaths and we divide that by 71,540 days. We have, let's round that to 42. We have 42 deaths per day, right? Let's take 1 million and we'll divide that by 71,540, and that is 14 deaths per day. So the Crusades produced over a 200-year period between 14 and 42 deaths per day. Perhaps 3,000. Now, the latest numbers on the Inquisition are as low as 800, and it seems like the new figures hover somewhere around 2,000. I'd have to check that again, but the numbers for the Inquisition certainly do not meet crazy numbers like 50 million. There weren't that many people in Europe alive at the time. Now, let's look at World War I. Let's take your simple atrocity like World War I. 35 million soldiers and civilians killed in this senseless and secular, not a religious war, secular 4-year slaughter, right? So let's have a look. Let me bring up my calculator again. We have 4 years, so let's take 365. We multiply that by 4. This gives us 1,460 days. Let's take 35 million and we divide that by 1,460 days. And World War I, this secular, non-religious war, killed 23,972 people per day. That's 24,000 people a day killed in a secular war in World War I. Let's have a look at this on a graph. World War I versus the supposed Christian atrocities. Let's see, this is World War I. This is the Inquisition, doesn't even appear, and that's the Crusades. Remember, this is a 200-year period. This is a 4-year period. Right, now, this is the Encyclopedia of Wars, right? It's a multi-volume encyclopedia. And let's look at the claim that religion causes war. So they studied 1,763 wars by cause from 8000 BC to 2000 AD. Well, this column is government wars. Wars caused by governments. If you want to know what kills people, well, governments kill people. If you want to know what kind of government kill people, well, it would be communist governments. Also, oddly enough, if we go back in history, that would be Islamic governments, but communist governments kill people very well. These atheist, utopian, communist governments kill people. Governments are very good at causing genocides of their own people. Chinese government has a lot to answer for there, for instance. Now, let's have a look here. Religious wars. Let's look at a comparative graph. Religious wars, this number here, this 3.2%, is all religions on Earth combined with their involvement in wars that have a religious component. Whereas we've got here 3.8%, and this is Islam alone. Islam alone has more involvement in warfare and slaughter than all the religions on Earth combined. Hopefully that makes very, very clear. Now, do understand that communism was the largest killer in the 20th century. There were the big five events that really wiped out people in recent history. First and Second World Wars, the Russian Revolution, Communist China, and the Soviet Union. They accounted for 75% of all deaths by atrocity in the 20th century. Do note that the Encyclopedia of Wars does not include genocides like the Rwandan genocide, because it wasn't a formally declared war. So there are large numbers of mass deaths that are not included, right? Do understand the Rwandan genocide, for instance, was not a war between Catholics and Protestants. It was not a religious war. It was a tribal, ethnic conflict. So none of these are religious wars. These were caused by regimes that really were warlike. And that was the outcome. Or, as you know, the communists, fantastic killers of people. Communism is fantastic for mass genocide and slaughter. So in the 20th century, communism was responsible for the deaths of at least 110 to 120 million people, right? So 110 to 120 million. Actually, let's bring up our calculator again. Let's have a quick look at that. So 20th century. So let's go up to, I don't know, 1980. So 80 years. So let's take 1914 to 1980. So let's look at 66 years, right? So let's take 365. Multiply that by 66 years. What do we have? 24,090 days. Let's take 120 million. And we divide that by 24,060 days. 5,000 people a day killed by these non-religious events. I'm going to leave you guys to look further into this, right? Again, non-Islamic religious wars, the Islamic wars, which is greater than non-religious wars. And you can see the same numbers here. Look at these non-religious dictators. Okay, look at the lives lost. Stalin, 42 million. Mao Zedong. This number could easily be 60 million. This number is easily over 60 million. Adolf Hitler, 21 million. Chiang Kai-shek, 10 million. Vladimir Lenin, 4 million. Tojo, 4 million. Pol Pot, 2.4 million. So here you go. No Catholics amongst these. Right. So yeah, I'll leave you guys to research this for yourselves, but I hope this was useful in understanding that no, religion does not cause wars. Religion prevents wars. And governments kill people. These crazy secular ideologies kill people. And of course, as you well know, Islam kills people. Anyway, thank you very much, and see you next time.